What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. Today we're going to be breaking down Week 1 slate for some DraftKings and FanDuel lineups for the XFL. But hey, if you guys are looking for XFL content posted daily, click that like and subscribe button. We will be giving you guys all the latest and greatest information around the XFL every single day, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Anyway, not going to waste any more time. Let's get started right away. Alright guys, so we'll begin with FanDuel. Now, daily isn't typically my cup of tea. I prefer season long, but I do really feel, especially right now with the amount of missing information out there and just the amount of unknowns, that daily could actually be a really fun type of, a fun way to play fantasy in the XFL right now. There's a lot of unknown guys that are looking to, make their name known, and if we've been able to, read the tea leaves right, there's actually some tremendous values here, especially in this Week 1 slate before anyone really knows who is going to be breaking out. We can take some guesses and some stabs in the dark. Might be fun to have a few lineups going this week. So I wanted to give you guys a few values at each position and show you a couple of lineups that you can do for GPPs and for cash games. So I wanted to make sure that I had Josh Johnson in here, but unfortunately it's looking less and less likely that he is going to play. So typically what you want to do with quarterback is you either go all the way up or all the way down. At least that's how it works in the NFL. So Josh Johnson, I would have imagined, would have been the best quarterback on the slate this week, but honestly, who I have ranked at number 2 and who ended up getting, a tremendously reduced salary just because of how quickly DraftKings released all this information. They have Connor Cook here, but he's not going to end up being the starter. We've got Philip Walker down here at quarterback at $7,800. So Philip Walker is going to be the predominant guy for most of my lineups. If Josh Johnson doesn't play, it's looking like Jalen McClendon will end up getting the start. So if you really want to go down all the way, we can do Jalen McClendon. Let's start a lineup with that just so I can show you guys kind of what this ends up looking like. Now, at the running back spot, there's a couple guys you can pay up a lot for. You've got Jarrell Presley and Cameron Artis-Payne are two guys that I really like a lot this week, but they're definitely more on the expensive side. And then you have three really good value plays I want to pull and highlight for you guys. Quentin Flowers at $3,900. Now, Quentin Flowers is listed as a quarterback and a running back. He's basically going to be Tampa Bay's Taysom Hill. They're going to use him all over the field, and we just don't know how much volume he's going to get, but he's one of those guys that could massively outproduce his his salary here. So Quentin Flowers is a name to look at. Andre Williams is also severely underpriced here. He's the starter over in Houston in what should be a high-score game. And then Jaquan Gardner surprised everyone with the depth chart and is actually the head running back in Seattle. We thought that Kenneth Farrow would win the job, but honestly, Jaquan Gardner has been the one that's been getting all of the hype in the offseason. So Jaquan Gardner is going to be a tremendous value this week. Probably won't be this low in future weeks. So if you want to grab someone like Jaquan Gardner for your running back, you only have to fill one running back slot. Now, I'm looking at GPP lineups right now, so just giving you guys, a quick breakdown. Typically with GPPs, you want to go for very high variance guys, because if you want to knock it out of the park, you're going to need players that fit a narrative, really. So when we're looking at this narrative, if we grab Jalen McClendon, if he's doing well, then he's obviously throwing it to somebody, and you want to have the ability to stack. So that's why I would grab Nelson Spruce if I went McClendon. Just want to make sure I have that stack. And then you also want to run it back with someone on the other side of the ball, because if this turns into a shootout, you want to be able to gather points from both sides. So I really like Sammy Coates. I'm pretty sure I have Sammy Coates in almost all of my lineups, because 9,300 for me is a steal compared to Rashad Ross at 10,400. I think Sammy Coates is the better play this week anyway, going against LA. So that's why I really like Sammy Coates a lot. And then, you'll notice here, if you just save a little bit of money on your running back, you can afford really expensive receivers. So we could even still grab Mikael McKay and Jeff Badette here and still have enough money to grab the Houston Roughnecks defense. Now, this isn't necessarily the best idea, grabbing a defense playing against your quarterback and your wide receiver, but overall, I'm not sure how how valuable these defenses are even really going to be. So if Jalen McClendon ends up, just doing subpar, he might still have a decent fantasy day, but he could throw a few picks that give the Roughnecks a few points on defense. So this is just an idea of what a lineup could look like. Let's do another GPP lineup here. Do most of these with Philip Walker going forward. So Philip Walker, we know, like I said, is incredibly valuable right now and really cheap. We could do one where we have Andre Williams as our running back. Like I said, you can kind of sub in Andre Williams or Quentin Flowers pretty much, or Jaquan Gardner. All of those guys have tremendous upside this week. And then we could grab Sammy Coates again. So this time we're stacking Philip Walker and Sammy Coates. We can grab Rashad Ross. We have enough money for it, and Mikael McKay. So we'd have the top 3 wide receivers on the slate. And then we can pick up a guy like Khalil Lewis because he's really cheap, but he's also on the Houston Roughnecks. So now you're double stacking with Philip Walker, Rashad Ross, and Khalil Lewis, and you have Andre Williams. So you're going heavy on Houston, expecting them to score a lot of points. And then we could still grab pretty much our choice of defense. I like the defenders the most this week against Seattle. So there's another lineup you could do if you wanted to, spend up a little bit more on running back. If you wanted to do a Cameron Artis-Payne, you could grab Cameron Artis-Payne, and then we could downgrade from Rashad Ross to Nelson Spruce, also in that game, and then we downgrade from Mikael McKay to Jeff Badette, who I really like a lot. So there's another roster you could do. And then if you really want to go heavy on the running backs, let's try a little bit heavier, expensive running back. So we grab Jarrell Presley, and I think we still want to go with Coates. But if we went with Coates, we could also take Spruce and Badette, even with that more expensive running back in Jarrell Presley. LaDainian Washington is another guy to look out for this week. $3,700, the lead wide receiver over there in St. Louis. If the Renegades boat race the Battlehawks like we're expecting, that could be a tremendous value this week as well. So, I mean, you're kind of seeing the pattern here. You can fill your roster with top-end receivers and still get, decent running backs. But if you go cheap on the running back, you can have like the cream of the crop at wide receiver, just the way that the salaries are right now. I'm sure this will adjust over time, which is why I recommend getting in and playing early before these salaries adjust too much. And then if you wanted to do cash lineups, you could do something. You want to basically cash lineups. You're typically just trying to hit that above 50 line because you want to be in the top half of the field. So you typically lean on running backs a little bit more. So I created a few lineups here. I'm not going to go to the extent of showing you, but you can do like Cardale Jones, who's probably the most expensive quarterback on the slate without Josh Johnson if he's not active. Then you could grab Jarrell Presley, Sammy Coates, Jeff Badette, Cameron Artis-Payne, and Jaquan Gardner, so getting those 3 running backs, and then you'd be able to pair them with the Houston Roughnecks defense. Another lineup you could do would be Philip Walker, Jarrell Presley, Sammy Coates, Rashad Ross, so get the 2 top receivers, and then you could still grab Cameron Artis-Payne and Jaquan Gardner and grab the defenders defense. So again, going down to Walker gives you a lot more flexibility. That'd be a really good cash lineup. Another one you could look at, if you're stacking with Walker again, you could have Presley, Sammy Coates, Mikael McKay. You can even throw in like Nick Truesdale, the tight end over in Tampa Bay, who could be the leading receiver in Tampa Bay this week. And then you could stack them with Andre Williams or Jaquan Gardner. And then if you want to mix it up at quarterback a little bit, Jordan Ta'amu is also an interesting name playing against the Dallas Renegades this week. They're going to have to score a lot of points to keep up. So he could definitely have a game where he outperforms. Then you could grab Cameron Artis-Payne and LaDainian Washington. You'd want to stack with Jordan Ta'amu, but then you could grab Sammy Coates, Christian Michael, Jarrell Presley, pretty much any stack of the heavy running back guys. So if you're playing in cash, you want to go a little heavier on the running back. You're playing in GPP, go heavier on the receiver. But there's a lot of guys out there that you can get basically unbalanced lineups right now. So this is a really fun week to play. Check out my rankings on FantasyAddictionNetwork.com. That'll help you guys set lineups as well. I put the DraftKings salaries on there. Let's talk FanDuel real quick as well. So FanDuel is a little bit easier than DraftKings. You don't have to set a defense, so you just set a quarterback, a running back, 2 wide receivers, and 2 flex. and then you stay in $100 salary. Their rankings are a little bit more up to date. They do still have a couple of values, but like Walker for quarterback is at $18 instead of like way down in the dumps. But I'd still recommend you can either go Walker or you can go Landry Jones for $2 more. He might not play this week, so you have to monitor that, because if Landry Jones doesn't play, you can still pivot down to either Jordan Ta'amu or his backup Philip Nelson. But pretty much, if you wanted to do like a Walker lineup, you could do Walker. Jaquan Gardner is still a tremendous value on FanDuel, just because no one was expecting him to get the start over Kenneth Farrow, but he's done really well in camp, so I don't really see why he won't keep that job. And then if you do that, that basically opens the doors wide open for you. You can grab like, let's do Sammy Coates, and then Rashad Ross is actually a lot cheaper on FanDuel, so you could grab Rashad Ross. And then if you wanted to stick with the running back, heavy strategy, because FanDuel is half point PPR, so running backs are worth a little bit more, you could still grab Presley and Artis Payne here, and that would fill your roster. You'd still have $1 remaining. So that's a solid roster right there, just because you saved a few bucks on Jaquan Gardner. 2 top-tier receivers, 2 top-tier running backs, Jaquan Gardner, who should outperform his salary, and then Philip Walker, who could be the best quarterback on the week. So that right there might be your main money-making lineup. But if you wanted to try a lineup with Landry, let's see, Landry Jones, you just have to downgrade. Let's mix this up a little bit so we can go. You do still want Gardner. You definitely want to make sure you have Gardner in there. And then you want to make sure you stack. So you could stack him with Jeff Badet. And then I feel like you're going to be upset if you don't have Sammy Coates on your roster. And then again, because Rashad Ross is at $15, you can get him for a steep discount here. And then what have we got left? So at $17, if you wanted to go the more heavy receiver route, you can still grab Mikael McKay. So you could have the top 3 receivers, actually top 4, and then Landry Jones, who could be one of the better quarterbacks on the week, along with Jaquan Gardner. You could do this same lineup, just sub out Landry Jones with Philip Walker if you don't want to deal with that injury. Great. This is a great week to get in and play some daily, guys. If you've never done it before, don't go crazy with it. I don't really play this to try to get rich. I just play it for fun. So, but you could probably make a few bucks this week with these lineups. So anyway, I hope this helped you guys. Hit me up in the comment section below if you have any start set questions or any daily questions for this week. And make sure you go over to fantasyaddictionnetwork.com, check out my rankings and my season tool, give you everything you need for this fantasy season. And again, hit that like and subscribe button if you're looking for XFL content posted daily. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.